My mother has Parkinson's. That's it's a progressive condition, and it has no cure. It is, of course, very frustrating and very distressing to see this happening to one's parent.
For 15 years, Ara Shah has followed a fixed daily routine that revolves around taking care of her mother. Her mother's illness has meant she's changed her own routine and lifestyle to make sure she's always there to take care of her. While being her mother's support system, Ara Shah has found herself oscillating between feelings of guilt and frustration.
Do I feel frustrated? Yes, of course. At times one does. This is the nature of this job, caregiving. You work in isolation, you work without a team, without feedback. Also, the life that you had before caregiving, suddenly that life does not exist. So that takes a lot of time. It is frustrating.
It's something that's not uncommon for caregivers but can go unnoticed. Caregivers go through a wide range of trauma and challenges in their caregiving role.
Usually, that person is a family member who is most likely a woman. So, family caregivers are anybody who care for their loved ones physically, emotionally, financially, or in any other form. So, caregivers who support someone else who is navigating a terminal illness like cancer, ALS, or Parkinson's, or even geriatric conditions linked like dementia, depression. The family member who is the caregiver goes through their own trauma and challenges. And caregivers also need caregivers.
Bhavna Isser has seen many caregivers go through similar stress. While all the medical help and attention is directed to the person in need of care, the caregiver's own mental health can unknowingly take a back seat.
For many years, I didn't identify as a caregiver, or rather, I didn't recognize myself as a caregiver. I was completely isolated. I had no idea there are so many caregivers in the same boat. And also, although caregivers look after patients with different diseases, various diseases, there are still a lot of similar problems that all caregivers go through. And I had no idea of that at all.
Caregivers are sometimes referred to as secondary patients who need and deserve protection and guidance. The demands of caregiving place them at high risk for injury and adverse events. Family caregivers are critical partners in the plan of care for patients with chronic illnesses. Family caregivers are unpaid, but they need proper skills to protect the ailing family member.
You know, caregivers need many things. You discover one day there is a diagnosis and you discover that you are a caregiver. For example, you've just gone to the doctor and you've been told that there is signs of dementia, or there is likely a cancerous body part. In that case, the caregiver first needs good, authentic information. A family caregiver also needs a community of other caregivers so that they can feel supported. And caregivers or family caregivers also need support physically. So we need to hire an aide or a care worker, and sometimes the caregiver might need mental health support, because caregiving for someone who is vulnerable or who has life limitations can be emotionally draining. So caregivers need emotional support, whether it is one-on-one or it is support groups.
Through the years, Bhavna Isser has seen how a strong support system for the caregiver makes a world of difference to their mental health. Sharing stories with others, knowing they are not alone dealing with the stress of seeing a loved one in pain or battling an illness, and getting the right information is key to dealing with anxiety and isolation.
We have a series called Conversations with Gentle Warriors. on our platform in which more than 80 people have shared their stories. The more we talk about our stories, the more other people listen to it, the more it becomes normalized and destigmatized.
The emotional and physical demands involved with caregiving can strain even the most resilient person. Over time, caregivers like Ara have learned if you don't take care of yourself, you won't be able to care for anyone else.
If you can accept the situation, you will be able to deal with it better for yourself and for the person you're looking after.
A Times online report.